All right, welcome back to the Dr. Jimbo Love Show featuring Seth Matthew. And Seth is going to be taking a little bit of hiatus from the show. He is just way busy. They've combined two restaurants together. Brothers Downtown is no more, and most of the employees have come out here to Brothers at Northfield. So good for Brothers, bad for Seth as far as his time goes. Patrick's going to step in. And we're going to have Patrick as a guest host for the next couple of weeks and whenever he can make it when he's not flying with his job. So today's a big day. Traditionally, this starts rivalry week. And, College Game Day was up in Bozeman.
That's why I wore my hat today. I'm not really sure why they were up there, but they had a big game up there, 9-1, and it was freezing.
2 degrees at when they came on air.
As I think pretty much the whole country's been for 2 weeks, so that'll play in later to some of our plays. But got my hat on for my folks up here at Glacier, Montana. And as usual, I'm trying to change up my outfits. This is from Turdy in Syracuse. He's one of our beer distributor main honchos up there. Got me and my brother some cool Notre Dame swag with, had a sign, almost bought the sign today for Senior Day for Notre Dame, but trying to switch it up on Saturdays for you guys so you don't make fun of my outfits.
Right on. Now, what was the name of the beer distributor again?
He pretty much works for Anheuser-Busch, Budweiser distributor.
Okay.
Does a lot of that up in Syracuse, and Terry O'Boyle, all the O'Boyles welcomed us in, and those are the guys we had to borrowed their tickets, as well as Chris Ben when we were in Syracuse. So all the guys in the tailgates and stuff like that, we're gonna have to figure out a way to get these pictures up here loaded in. But yeah, this is from Terry O'Boyle, aka Turdy O'Boyle, and he got my brother and I some cool swag before we headed on out back to the West Coast.
Cool, excellent. Well, today what we're going to do is we're going to do our traditional type show. We'll talk a little bit about college football. We'll start off with the top 25. We'll talk about some of our featured games today. 2 big games in the Pac-12. That will determine whether or not a Pac-12 team actually makes it to the college football playoff. USC is really the only one that has a really straight way of getting there, but we're going to highlight both of the big games there. Also, we'll talk a little bit about Notre Dame, Boston College, and of course, we're going to talk about how South Carolina is going to shock the world and beat number 5 Tennessee. And we're going to talk about that at Williams-Brice Stadium today. Go ahead, Patrick. Give me some help. I know it's wishful thinking.
We watched the game together last week. It was more him giving the hell than anything. I just, quarterback doesn't look very good.
No.
Big spread.
Spencer Rattler, not good.
Had it at 22 when I took my notes last
It's 20
night.
20 and a half right now.
Tennessee, I think, is going to keep laying the points on, and because Tennessee, we'll talk about, I guess, in the top 25. We can do it now, but Tennessee and it needs people to lose. So TCU needs to lose. USC's open for the same as well. So we'll see if a couple of these 3, 4, 5 teams can get up, and then you can get a Pac-12 team in, and Tennessee maybe gets a second chance. Again, they're going to go through the SEC ring here. Yeah, the top 2 or 3 are pretty much locked at this point.
Oh, yeah. And then we can't forget either, even though for the first time in so many years, the Bedlam game between Oklahoma State and OU really is not a factor in determining anything more than just pride for the state of Oklahoma. And Brett Venables needs a win, a signature win for his program, because they're 5-5, folks. When was the last time Oklahoma was 5-5?
Yeah, coach goes to USC, and they're number 8 in the country going into the playoffs, so that's not going to settle well over there. We watched the Oklahoma State game last week together, a part of the morning games and morning afternoons. They looked horrible. I mean, just horrible. Quarterback left, like you said, and it just did not look good.
Nope.
I got the game sitting right around 7.5 for Oklahoma. I do feel Oklahoma will pull this out, but
Good.
yeah,
We'll talk about that in just a bit. Save your good comments here so when we actually preview it. Top 20 for hockey, we'll talk a little bit about that. There's a little bit of a shakeup. Our hometown boys here at DU are sitting number 1, and they are on a bye week this week. They will play Nebraska Omaha next weekend in a 2-game series. But yes, DU, the defending champions, are sitting where they should be, number 1 in the nation. We'll go down through the top 20. And,
hockey's heating up.
Guess
Man,
who's
it's
number
getting
20?
cold, but it's Notre Dame's number 20. I'm not sure how they're still in the number 20. They took a loss last night. I know.
What was this?
We're heating up, and the temperatures are getting cold, but the hockey is heating up as we get close to the frozen fourth. So, got some scores from last night. Got a big game down in Colorado Springs against the number 4 Seth St. Cloud. So we'll get into that a little bit.
Excellent, and then we'll finish off with a little bit of football. We'll talk a little bit about some of the lines and Patrick's predictions, and go through all of those games kind of rapid fire like we did last week.
You got to be in it to win it. I'll give you the stats of what we've been the 2 weeks, and we'll go through the top 25 in the NCAA football, and we'll go through the NFL, with a league where they get paid to play.
Absolutely. Lastly, we're going to talk a little bit about the women's soccer. They just finished a 2-game series with Germany. They split with Germany.
This is the lady U.S. team.
This is the U.S. women's team that will be representing us in the Olympics and is our national team.
And we'll go real fast when we get through that. Maybe right before we'll go through the World Cup odds, because we are World Cup time, being hosted in Qatar. I am not your soccer guy. You need soccer.
Seth.
Vinny Salazar or Seth here. Vinny Salazar in Colorado Springs, a.k.a. the season ticket holder for the Colorado College. You want to know soccer, you call Vin. You don't call Vin, he don't pick up, you call Berman. McMurray, we'll keep the list going. Don't call me, I'm just going to give you the odds.
Don't worry, we won't give your phone number out. Yeah. Plus, we don't want all the ladies out there calling you and bothering you. You know, because you're kind of a celebrity.
The political calls and everything else has been coming in. You might as well just keep calling.
Exactly. Well, let's do this. Let's start off with the CFP playoff rankings. We're jumping away from the AP rankings mainly because the college football playoff rankings are what counts going forward.
That's all that really matters.
Georgia number 1, Ohio State number 2, Michigan number 3, and TCU number 4. The undefeateds are still in the top 4 positions and will be, if everything stays the same today, would be in the college football playoff. Number 5 is Tennessee. Tennessee needs TCU to lose or somebody else besides Michigan or Ohio to lose in order to get in. We'll talk a little bit more about that. We're not going to break down too much because it's way too early and too much stuff can shuffle around for us to create scenarios. Although we will talk about some different things that are out there. LSU, who lost to Tennessee, remember, really big, is number 6. USC, Lincoln Riley's team, big game today. We're going to highlight his game today is at 7. Alabama is a 2-loss team with no path to the SEC championship. The SEC championship game is already set, UGA versus LSU, for one of the first times, and I can't remember the last time. Can you remember the last time that Alabama wasn't in the SEC championship game?
Yeah, I mean, we talked about, we did some lines last week. We were talking about Ole Miss. Ole Miss ended up covering that game, losing it late. I said last week, it's just not Alabama's year. And maybe a little parity or a little change in what's going on. UGA is still kind of at the top, and you're seeing Tennessee getting a little better. So a little bit different. Brian Kelly's coming into the SEC. We'll see what this isn't even his team, and they got him at what, number 6? I think.
Yeah, they're at 6. They're playing well for him.
This isn't even his recruits. He's taking what was given to him, and then same, going on in Notre Dame. We talked about. I'm just a Notre Dame fan, so I follow this trend here. But good for them.
Number 9. Let's finish this up real quick, and then we'll go into the next thing here. Clemson number 9. Utah,
his favorite.
Not one of my favorite teams. I can't believe that they've made it back as a 2-loss team to 10. Well, we're going to find out what happens today.
And Ducks took the bad loss last week, or the tough loss. I don't know what you want to call it, but
absolutely,
that kind of booted them out of it, and then put USC in the Cal game as the Pac-12 game of the week.
Well, USC is playing UCLA.
Oh, sorry,
that's okay.
UCLA.
That's okay. It's going to be a game. You said Cal, but that's okay. As we move down through, we've got Penn State at number 11. Oregon is a big game today. We'll talk a little bit about them. At number 12, 13 is North Carolina, 14 Mississippi, 15 Kansas State with a big win last week. Okay,
feisty. They're feisty.
They beat Baylor.
They hang around. Those purple teams have been hanging around all year. TCU getting no love, hanging around.
They beat the crap out of Baylor last week.
Killed them.
On
the road, I believe.
Yep, you're absolutely right.
Road, I believe.
So we have Kansas State 15, as I said, UCLA is 16, Washington 17, Notre Dame 18, hanging tough.
And creeping, ready to ruin dreams for USC, hopefully.
Florida State is at 19, UCF is 20, Tulane won their game very, very largely against SMU, 59-24. We're going to talk a little bit about that. They are at 21. Oklahoma State hopes to stay at 22, and then it will depend whether or not they can get past OU today in Bedlam. We've got NC State 24, Oregon State's 23, sorry about that. And then, of course, lastly is Cincinnati at 25. Any of those stick out to you other than Notre Dame?
No, there's going to be no. I mean, right now, your TCU and Tennessee are trying to fight their way in. They're hoping for Michigan losses. USC's hoping for Michigan loss as well. We'll see what goes down today. Nothing really changed in there. Oregon took the bad loss. That was the one that hurt. So Oregon's down to 10, and that pretty much eliminated them from the college football playoffs.
Well, they were without Bo Nix last week.
Yeah.
And we failed to mention that. And
was it a tight game?
Yeah, Penix had a great game. Penix Jr. for Washington. And, see the Ducks go down this late in the year after they'd been playing. I mean, they had so many games in a row. Remember, they lost their first game of the season against Georgia.
Always want to lose early.
Yep. And then they won straight through until this last game, and I bet you they're just kicking themselves.
That's why you're seeing them play these big games early against good. So Oregon played, still the #1 team in the nation. So you take that loss early, and you just throw that in the bag, and then as long as you don't lose. But yeah, last week tough loss. Huskies actually probably one of my best plays of the day. We'll get to that. The Thursday game was nothing to talk about.
No.
I watched it from pretty much start to finish. I was fine, but we did have it on there.
It was 59-24. Let's just talk a little bit about it.
It looked like it was 100 to nothing.
Yeah,
the entire
at the end of the
game.
first game, at the end of the first quarter, it was 21-0. Halftime 28-7. Okay, just never was SMU ever in the game.
SMU went 3 and out. Tulane kept scoring touchdowns. They ran the ball, and the defense looked good. And then when SMU got behind, that high-profile offense, if you see the score tickers, 70s, 60s, and 50s, was not happening because Tulane just bared down on them because they knew exactly what they were going to have to do to get into it. Didn't look like they made any coaching changes either. A little bit in the second half, but nothing in the first half. And it was a blowout city in the first half, and it did not change. They gave them some points late. Pretty much not talk about. Good win, Tulane coming off a loss last week.
The week before. Yep. Pratt for Tulane was 9 for 14, 141 yards, 3 touchdowns. His 3 touchdowns were rushing touchdowns, no passing touchdowns. Their running back was 10 rushes for 70 yards. That would have been Spears and Clayton Johnson split the running back position. Spears had 121 yards rushing. Clayton Johnson 75. So it looked like they ran the ball quite a bit.
I was going to say, every time I looked up, it looked
throat.
like first down rushing, and then anytime they wanted to pass, it was available. Again, it was no contest. SMU was short favorites, +3, +3.5, and it was blowout city. So those Thursday games are interesting, either for the NFL or for the call me kids, NCAA. Usually see the defense step up and the offense looks slow and coordinated. This week it was SMU that was just uncoordinated.
No reason to spend much more time on that game because it was such a blowout. This brings us to our 2 featured games in the Pac-12. The first one being number 10 Utah at number 12 Oregon. Both teams are 8-2. Both are 6-1 in the conference. This is a big game for both programs. Last year, Oregon beat Utah 2 times, twice in the same year, and they beat them handily, very easily. Utah beat USC. They're a half a game behind USC, same as Oregon. Remember, Oregon does not play USC this year, so we don't have a head-to-head matchup. Oregon lost to Washington but beat UCLA. So you have 4 teams in the Pac-12 right now that are in the top 16. So these two teams, these two games are going to really solidify who are the two top teams and who's going to end up playing in the Pac-12 championship. Anything else about that game? What's the line on that game?
Oregon's at home +2. He talked about the quarterback situation last week. I haven't done a whole lot of research into that. I'm going +2. I went with the Utes last year in both games, and again, that's a homer bet with my buddy Wilson. He hates the Utes. I like the Ducks. It was a close game last week. It was a close, tough game. The Pac-12. I mean, we could break it down all the way to the game last week against Arizona, where they came out and shocked everybody, and the kid looked like the
Bo Nix.
Arizona game. The one I bet on that I showed you. And I mean, they were huge underdogs, and he looked like the NCAA version of Patrick Mahomes, and they won the game outright. So that's why I said the Pac-12, you're either going to get these big cover spreads. We're looking at a Washington versus Colorado game over 30 points, and I'm going to lean Washington because Colorado is bad. But some of these teams show up on a given week, and last week it was a tight game, very tight game. Oregon took the brunt of it, and unfortunately that's going to eliminate them pretty much from the playoffs. I'll take Oregon, short and sweet on it. Utes are looking good, though. As much as Dr. Jimbo the last couple of weeks doesn't want to have that or admit it, they've been looking good.
They're coming around.
They're coming around.
I don't dislike Utah. I just don't like the way they played this year, and then how the pollsters kind of kept them bolstered in positions that I didn't think that they really deserved to be in. But Bo Nix is a game-time decision, and that is going to be huge for the Ducks. So you remember, if Bo can get in there and he can turn a game around, or he can lay an egg and be like a true Duck that he is now.
You're talking about a senior or more than senior transfer out of Auburn, and he was looking good. So obviously that played a factor, but I'll take Ducks +2 next game.
Okay. We're moving on to the second big game, and this one here is the one that has the playoff implications. Number 7 USC versus number 16 UCLA. The battle of basically California, and this is going to be interesting.
LA.
Lincoln Riley and LA, yes. And Lincoln Riley versus Chip Kelly. USC looking to make the CFP playoffs. It would be the first time that a Pac-12 team makes the college football playoffs since 2016. So maybe that's again why the pollsters wanted these guys and have been boosting, in my opinion, Utah all year long. They need to have somebody up there that can be in contention. Now, also, too, the college football gods want a bi-coastal playoff situation, kind of like any NBA championship or whatever. If you get the bi-coastal aspect, you increase viewership marketably.
You do?
So they're looking for that, too.
It's different style of play. The whole Pac-12 in general, very different style of play than, say, maybe a Georgia, than a couple of the other teams up there. And again, the viewership of the West Coast isn't always near as high because most of the time, if you're on the East Coast, I lived in the East Coast for God knows how many years, 7 years. And when you're on the East Coast, these games are starting at over 10 o'clock at night. So for most family people, you're tucking kids in, you're going to bed, maybe getting a couple extra views, or you're turning on Saturday Night Live. So it's always going to be that.
Unless you're up with a sick kid like I've been for the last 2 nights.
And not sleeping.
And I haven't slept. I've had 5 hours of sleep in the last 2 days. And
looking like a champ. Looking like a champ.
Well, the good news is my son is pulling through like a champ. He's got the respiratory thing, the ear infection, and they think the partial part of the flu. So he's got the trifecta. And he's been throwing up. Luckily, he's finally stopped. But yeah, so I'm up late now watching whatever there is on TV, infomercials.
Or if I'm texting him very late. USC has to win this game for the Pac-12 to have a chance to get in. They're going to need a little bit of help from Michigan, maybe TCU, to get in. I am hoping that USC wins against UCLA, not Cal, UCLA. And because the Irish go on the road, they're doing senior day today at home. They're going on the road to USC, and I'm hoping the Irish crush a few dreams next week. Keep that dream alive.
They got to get past Boston College today, though, even though Boston College is 3-7. But we're going to talk about that game in just a moment. This is a 2.5 USC is a 2.5-point favorite, so it's basically
2.5. Yeah.
It's basically a pick'em, right?
Close to, yeah.
Pretty close. I mean,
It's
1.5
two
to
home
pick'em.
games. It's just where you're going to put the venue, essentially.
The Rose Bowl is
They're at
sold
the
out.
Rose Bowl.
It's sold out. So this is almost like Rose Bowl Part 1, okay, which is going to be fun to watch. We'll have to watch. Again, they may run the ball quite a bit. We're talking about UCLA, only to keep the ball out of Caleb Williams' hand as long as possible. Caleb Williams is probably the head guy right now for the Heisman Trophy. We'll have to wait again over the next 2 to 4 weeks to see how that plays out.
This is Pac-12. They chuck it. They don't play a lot of defense. Well, it changed in a rivalry game. Usually the under comes into play here. They'll probably try to run it a little bit on each side. But yeah, chuck it, no defense. That's kind of how the Pac-12 is reverted to.
All right, let's move on to Bedlam. We've got number 24 Oklahoma State 7-3 at OU 5-5. Oklahoma State up and down season. They have been wrecked by injuries. They had a big loss to TCU that really kind of killed their season. It just started them down a bad spiral and knocked them out of the Big 12 championship. They were up by 14 against TCU, remember, and they ended up losing that game in overtime. OU needs a big win to be bowl eligible. I mean, when was the last time that we were looking at the last regular season game of the season, or the second to the last regular season game, and Oklahoma is not bowl eligible yet? They're 5-5. Brett Venables needs this victory. He needs a bowl game so they can get that extra 30 days of practice, and he can start molding his players, and maybe do some recruiting and get some transfer people to come out for the second semester and for spring ball.
It'll help the recruits. You got to get them in. Again, a lot of change in coaches, and with the transfer portal the way it is, it changes a lot of things in general. But I'll keep it short and sweet. It's 7. I'm going to go betting side on this. 7.5 to the Sooners, probably closer to 7. I buy it down to 7. Oklahoma State didn't look very good last week. I do think the Sooners pull this out
Isn't
in
it
a rivalry
odd?
game.
Wait a second, though. Isn't it odd that a team that's 5-5 is a 7.5-point favorite over a team that's 7-3?
I think it comes off the game last week. Oklahoma State just couldn't really do anything.
And they're just decimated by injuries.
Yeah, the quarterback situation. I think a lot of people lean on your sides. They think they need to get a win. If you don't win it all when you're bad, you need to win the rivalry game.
Yes, you do.
Because everybody still shows up. They don't care, the common fan or, the local fan. They're Boomer Sooners. I was on a plane the other day going to Omaha yesterday, and let me tell you, Nebraska's as bad as it gets. They're still wearing the Nebraska gear on.
Of course.
So when it comes down to you're playing these rivalry games, that's why they call it. It's the same thing when you get to the NFL. Rivalry games, NFC East, Cowboys, Eagles, Cowboys, Giants. And look at last week, Eagles and Commandos, and we'll get to the NFL real short and sweet later. How'd that end up for everybody? So rivalry games do mean a thing. Everybody, and everybody in that state is either one or the other for the most part. May get a couple Tulsa fans out of that, but that's about it.
Before we go on to Patrick's Notre Dame versus Boston College, let's remind everybody we are at Brothers Bar and Grill at the Shops of Northfield. We're just north of I-70 between Central Park exit and Quebec. Come on in and see us. We're right across the street from Harkin Theater. Again, anytime you walk in here, if you want to watch a game, all you need to do is go talk to your local bartender, talk to Seth, talk to Colt, who's on today, and just ask him for a TV. And you will have no problem at all having them switch it over. As a matter of fact, we had some issues last week where we had TVs getting switched up in mid-games, which is okay. Smile, Patrick. That's all we're going to say about that. But anyways, come on down to Brothers Bar and Grill, Shops in Northfield. There's drink specials. Seth is here. He'll be pouring you big fat drinks. They don't skimp at all here. And it's also made warm up enough that you can walk outside and get a little breath of fresh air. Again, there's TVs out there as well. They'll be on, so you won't miss a single play.
You've all been hibernating for 2 days. Time to come out for the weekend.
It is time to come out and have a beer with us down here
Had
at
some
Brothers
good
Bar
weather
and Grill.
here in Denver. Nothing crazy, but a little bit of the wind chills at 0 and a little bit of snow. So come on out. We're going to warm up today.
Well, it's a lot better here than Buffalo. Now, Buffalo has, as I left the house this morning, and I'm from upstate New York, so I have a bunch of friends in Buffalo, and I called a couple of them and talked to them. Some of them, they're just like, oh, it's nothing. My snowblower's out there taking care of it. and other people are just, awed by it. But 77 inches of snow in Orchard Park, New York.
6 feet. They're moving the game to Detroit. You know it's bad when they're moving the game.
They canceled the University of Buffalo game, who was supposed to play there. You can't have people on the roads. No matter, trust me, Bill's Mafia, I wouldn't be surprised if some of those people show up down in the parking lot anyways and just dig their way out and still tailgate.
I think everybody's seen the pictures of the stadium on Instagram. Saul from Albuquerque, not happy with Roger moving the game to Detroit into a dome area against the Browns, but 6 feet, I want no part of it. I don't want any part of 6 inches here in town, so this is as much as you're going to get on my ears, mostly. Next game.
The next game, of course, we're talking about Boston College versus number 18 Notre Dame. Boston College is 3-7. Notre Dame 7-3. Notre Dame is a 20.5-point favorite. When I looked, the over/under is 43. What do you think about the over and under? Do you think that's achievable? I know you don't really bet over and under, but that seems a little low for me.
I guess we'll start by breaking the game down first. 26 degrees. They've had snow all week. They're expecting snow today.
Oh, okay. Could be a weather factor.
Yes. The line is where my brother and I have been talking about. I've been telling everybody, I'll never bet against the Irish, but if you want to bet, I said last week when we did the Irish line against Navy, they never cover against Navy. Never. And they looked like they were on their way to doing that, and then Navy pulled it close to the end. They barely won by 3 points, so it was all said and done. Same thing here. 26 degrees, never cover against Boston College. It's senior day. They never cover on senior day since as long as I've been watching, never. And then you add in the factor that our quarterback's still not good, and their quarterback's a freshman, and I said last week, and that was one of my bets of the week last week that covered pretty easily for Boston College. This is all sides of Boston College. Take the points, 20.5. The only way Boston College loses this, couple turnovers, he is going to look a little lost on offense. The freshman for Boston College will look a little lost. Notre Dame defense is playing better every week. And I think they are going to run the ball. I think they are going to push Boston College down. But almost 3 touchdown favorites and 26 in the snow. I will go Boston College. The over-under, I'm not really playing into. 40-something seems pretty fine. You could see a 25-15, 30-15. So I'm not buying into the over-under.
Well, I remember last week you guys only beat Navy by 3 points.
Yes,
but he called it all the way through. You guys were up by, 17?
They were up the whole way.
Yeah.
And that was a weird game because it ended up being a well over with 2 teams who thought were going to go way under.
Yeah.
I'm not touching the over-under. I'm just telling y'all, if you're getting your wages in, I would go with Boston College. And that's coming from, I will not do it. But looking at the game and being smart, that's what you got to bet today. Take the points, almost 3 touchdowns, take the points.
All right, and we are going to do that. Now, for the game, and I'm going to be the first one that calls it here, okay? We've got Tennessee number 5, who needs every single victory in order to stay eligible for the playoffs, playing against my South Carolina Gamecocks at Williams-Brice Stadium, which has been a nemesis for Tennessee many times. I'm calling it right now. South Carolina is going to shock the world and beat Tennessee and send them packing, and they're going to end up in the Citrus Bowl crying because you can't have the Citrus Bowl without UT. You can't spell Citrus Bowl without UT. Steve Spurrier.
I'm hoping for your sake your hometown guys win.
It's a long shot, but I just want to call it.
The best part of us is we yell at our own team more than we do the opposing team or anything. So Rattler hadn't looked good. The offensive line isn't protecting him. I have it at 22 as of yesterday. I think that line's going to go up. I think Tennessee's on a little bit of we need to run up scores and just hope that TCU and Michigan can fail, and then maybe we could sneak in somewhere in the back and get in the playoffs. So,
well, Carolina has lost 2 of their last 3 games, one against Missouri and the other against Florida last week. It was so disgusting I left at halftime. We were down 24-0. I couldn't handle it anymore. I turned it off. South Carolina is 113th. Okay, I don't think there's many other Division I football programs. 113th is probably the lowest you can go. I thought there was only 109 Division I-A football teams, but I think they added 4. So let's just say that they are last in the country against the run. They were number 78 on defense overall, 78, and they're playing a number 5 school in the country. For Carolina to win, the only way they can win is they're going to have a massive amount of turnovers, and they're going to have to do something for Herndon to slow him down, because they run a play on an average of every 16 seconds. And that's just going to be tough to do. So
bring Spurrier 20 years back, because it is not good time in ladies hoops over there in Gamecockville. Not good times in men's.
They were thinking about suiting up the women's basketball team, and there was some talk about in Gamecock land where the lady ball or the lady Gamecocks may have a better shot against Tennessee than the actual team. No,
good for the ladies, bad for the boys, because times have changed in 20 years. A lot has changed. Should we go through? Are we done with the games? Should we go through them real fast?
Well, let's go through the college games real quick, and let's just do a quick rapid fire. I'm going to take the points this week and try to make some points. Tell us our records from last week, because I did pretty abysmal.
We were both. College is hard. They got big spreads. I mean, you can lock on some. 6-13, 6 wins, 13 losses, not good. 9-10, not good at all either. But we did an in-game or I guess an in-viewing special when we were talking about the Oregon over-under, which I'm not good at, but sometimes the wheels get spinning. Barely covered the over-under there, but I said, thinking about it, I'm going to go under.
Oregon-Washington, right?
Yes, by about 1.5 points we barely covered.
Okay.
So there was my one over-under. The Thursday game's already over with. He doesn't get a pick because we didn't even talk about it. I'll be honest, I liked SMU plus 3.5. Tulane blew him out of the water. So that's a big L, whichever way you want to put it. That's an L for me on the beginning. We'll start with Notre Dame, BC. I'm telling you, it's one of the lock of the weeks. I just being a fan, knowing a lot about this and the situation, the snow, the quarterbacks, BC covering, senior day. Boston College, it'll be about 20.5, 21. I would go Boston College. Don't be surprised if the Irish run it and cover it or get 25, 24. Obviously not betting it, but that is one of my locks of the week.
Okay.
If you're an Irish hater,
I'm going BC to cover the points.
UCF Navy is over here on the right here, minus 15.5. Navy's cover experts. I don't know why they teed off at 11 Eastern, 9 a.m. Usually the first game's not until 10 Mountain, 12 East. Navy's cover experts. I got Navy. I personally have them in bets right now, and they're still covering as we speak. I took Navy. Who did you have?
I'm going to take Navy, too, to cover. Now, it's 17-14. Who's in the lead? I didn't get a chance to see.
Navy.
Navy's up by 3 right now.
They're
it's
the
in the third
kids.
quarter?
Yes, they have a little bit of offense. Even the backup played good last week. Next game, Florida State, Louisiana Lafayette, minus 24. I like Louisiana Lafayette. We haven't checked the score update. Florida State got off to a good start. I did take Louisiana Lafayette personally. Didn't look good early. Did you have any feelers?
I'll take Lafayette with the points.
Okay. Next game was Michigan minus 17.5. Illinois, Michigan, the whole state's snowing. It's freezing.
I think Illinois covers.
Illinois, I think Michigan State, they keep covering. I think they figured out a way. Last I looked, it was 7-3 just before half. Austin P and Alabama actually didn't even open up the line all week. I saw on CBSSports.com minus 45 with Alabama. I'll never touch those games, so I'm taking a no play. They didn't even have the lineup all week. Do you think they kill them by 45? But
yeah, maybe. I have no feeling for either of those because it's just
we're gonna
pick some of the ones of the major games.
Yeah, we're gonna call that a no play just because they literally didn't have the line set.
This is Alabama versus
Alabama.
Austin.
Yeah, Alabama didn't even have it set all week, so they literally kind of threw out a line this morning. I don't know if you've been able to get that at any of the major sports books, but TCU Baylor. I've been a TCU hater. It was 2, went up to 2.5, 2.5 down to 2, kind of floated. TCU, I took TCU money line no. TCU just to win the game outright.
I'll do the money line too, and I'm going to say TCU. I think that they roll on. I don't think Baylor recovers from their just absolute drubbing by Kansas State last week.
The next games are kind of the start of the afternoon, so these are games we have no knowledge about in terms of nothing's on TV. West Virginia plus 7.5 at home against Kansas State. I took Kansas State. I've been hating on the purple teams this year. 7.5, maybe too much. Maybe buy it down to 7. Kansas State for me.
I'm doing Kansas State as well.
Next game, Oregon State at Arizona State plus 8. Line seems fishy to me. Arizona State got rid of the coach. I'm just going to take a flea here. I'm going to take the 8 points at home for Arizona State. No big feels.
Me too.
Next game, Miami at Clemson. Clemson at home, minus 19, number 9 rank. Still trying to push here a little bit. If you look at Miami, though, they don't sound very good. Their win-loss doesn't sound good, and nobody's showing up to the games. But if you look at the actual final scores of the games, Miami's in all of these games. They're losing by about a touchdown or 10 less. 19 on the road at Clemson is going to be hard. I'm going Miami. I'm taking the 19 points.
Okay, that's a good bet right there. I will take Clemson. I think Clemson is going to try to beef up their resume. They still, in their mind, think they have a chance. There's a path for them to make it to the college football playoff. They've got to play against UNC next week, which UNC is just not ranked high enough for them to really gain any momentum to get in that top 4.
Next game, Georgia, Kentucky. Kentucky at home, plus 22.5. You know it's going to get rowdy anytime the number 1 comes in there. I'm going Georgia until somebody proves me different. That's just the basics of this game. 22.5 may be too many, but give me Georgia at minus 22.5.
I'll take that as well. I think Georgia's in a different league from everybody else right now.
Louisville, NC State. Louisville at home, minus 4.5. Not a huge feel in this game. NC State's a 24 ranked. Louisville coming off a loss at Clemson. I don't like the 4.5 as the favorite. I'm just going to take the short points. Not a big feel in this game. NC State plus 4.5.
I'm doing the same.
Next game, Ohio State, Maryland. Maryland, 27.5 at home against Ohio State. You know the crowd will come out for that game. Number 2 coming in. Ohio State hasn't been covering very many road games this year. I think this is one that they need to start getting in a rhythm if they're going to be the number 2, 3, or whatever you want to consider them in terms of the college football rankings. Ohio State, minus 20.5 on the road to Maryland.
I'm going to go with Maryland to cover because Maryland played really well against Penn State last week. So let's see how Ohio State
There's been
goes.
a lot of covering in that division, so I think it's a good play. Penn State, Rutgers. Rutgers at home, plus 19. Penn State, minus 19. I had no feel last week, but I was finally looking a little research at Penn State. Penn State's kind of been sneaky good this year in terms of covering spreads and playing better. I don't like taking 2 back-to-back conference teams on the roads as big favorites. Minus 19 and Ohio State, 27.5. I'm taking Penn State, though. I'm leaning Penn State.
Me too.
So he's taking Penn State minus 19. Cincy, Temple. Temple's plus 17 at home against Cincy. This is the time of year where you got to take the home dog.
Oh, big time.
This is where we're looking really stupid. Temple's just not a good team.
No.
Cincy's there. I don't have a lot of feel in this game at all.
Cincy's number 25 in the country.
25.
I think
right.
they're going to win in cover.
They're going to win in cover. So he's taking the 17. I'm just going to throw out a feeler and take the plus 17. Cincy might win by 50. Georgia Tech, Carolina. This is a game I kind of liked. Just numbers looking at it. Carolina, 3 touchdown favorites.
North Carolina.
Make
sure
UNC Tar Heels.
Carolina usually is referred to South Carolina, and that goes all the way back to the statehood before North Carolina broke off. So South Carolina still feels like it's Carolina territory or state as they are, and so you say Carolina, you better mean South Carolina.
A true SC guy right here. North Carolina minus 21. I think that's too many points. I don't think they play enough defense to cover 21. I do like this game on Georgia Tech as a big road dog. Plus 21, Georgia Tech for me.
I'm going to say Georgia Tech plus 21. Yep.
Next game is his Gamecocks at home, plus 22 against Tennessee. I think I saw enough last week. I think Tennessee keeps pushing on with that offense. I'm going to take minus 22 on the road at South Carolina.
I'm betting the money line, and I'm betting for a South Carolina victory, baby.
take on the Miracles. Yeah, if you hit a money line on that, you'll be having a good Sunday.
Exactly.
That's for sure.
Exactly.
Ole Miss and Arkansas. We didn't really talk a lot about this. Ole Miss had a good game against Bama. Arkansas had a strong game on the early game in the freezing cold against LSU. Barely lost. Short line plus 2.5. Arkansas at home. I think Ole Miss is going to try to sneak up a few spots here, and I think they're a little bit sneaky good with Lane Kiffin. I'm going to take the -2 on the road. Going to be another tough game going into Arkansas.
Not me. I'm taking the home guys, and I think that the Hogs, sweet. I think they end up winning at home.
Next game is Oklahoma State, Oklahoma. We talked a lot about this. We'll keep it short and sweet. 7.5 when I had it last at Oklahoma at home. I would buy a half and just keep it an even touchdown. I'll take the Boomer Sooners, Boomer Sooner at home in the rivalry game. Oklahoma State or Oklahoma?
Bedlam, I'm going with Oklahoma State. I think they're gonna come. I think Venables is gonna lose. I think Oklahoma is gonna be non-bowl eligible for their first time, and people are gonna be looking at Brett Venables and wondering what's going on.
UCLA, USC, one of our big games of the week. Short. They consider UCLA the home team. It's LA. They're both at home. They're both in. It'll be 50-50 on the crowds or about that. I'm going USC -2.5. I think they're just a better team. I do want them to win, and this is just more of a play. I want them to win. I want the Irish to go down there and then see how everything plays
Ruin
out.
their season for them.
Pretty
All right.
much.
Well, I'm going to take USC as well.
All right, we got a few more. We got back pages
Okay.
a lot. LSU -15 against UAB. It seems too sneaky good to have LSU -15 against UAB, University Alabama Birmingham. I'll lean very softly LSU, but I was looking at the over/under and how they score. It was about 50.5. This is my one over/under of the week. I'm going to go over in this game because I don't see a whole lot of defense. I see two good offenses. I don't think LSU can really stop them. Give me the over 50.5. The line is 15 LSU.
I'm taking LSU all day.
Any feeler in that over/under at all?
The over/under, I'm trying to think. UAB, I don't know enough about UAB to know how they're even going to play.
A lot of points. They're sneaky. This is 15. You would think this game would almost be 21 to 25, 26.
Yeah.
That's why when it looks too good, I usually go the opposite way, and then the over/under to me looks sneaky. This is probably my lock of the day since I can't go against my Irish. Washington at home, coming off the good win against Colorado.
Against Colorado.
Against Colorado.
Yeah, coming off a big win last week against Oregon.
Playing Colorado, excuse me. Colorado, bad team. They're in my bad team with UNM and a lot of other teams. I think Washington and Penix cover this. It's a big spread, and as long as they can get off to a couple touchdown start, I'm taking -31, and this is probably one of my strongest games, if not Boston College this week, college football.
And then I'm taking Washington. Colorado's terrible.
Last game we talked about was one of the big games. Oregon +2 at home against Utah. Short and sweet. I already gave you my riff-raff about it. I'm taking +2 Oregon at home. And you're not a Utah guy, so I'm thinking you're going Ducks.
I'm going to go with the Ducks, but I'm going to be real nervous about this game if Bo Nix doesn't play. Real nervous because I think at that point in time, and of course, you got to place your bets because it's a game-time decision with Bo Nix. I'm going to say that Bo Nix plays, and I'm going to go with Oregon. Okay.
You want to go into college hockey? You want to hit these lines out real quick?
We're going to do some college hockey real quick, and then we're going to do this. When we do this, we're doing it really rapid fire because we're running short on time.
Perfect.
All right, let's go real quick through the college hockey's top 20. We're starting number 1 is DU, number 2 Minnesota, number 3 Michigan, number 4 is St. Cloud State. St. Cloud State, we'll talk a little bit about them. They had a tough game against Colorado College and won last night. Quinnipiac is at 5, Penn State 6, UConn 7, Minnesota State Mankato is 8, Providence is 9, and that is where Cornell will be tonight. Harvard 10, BU, Boston University 11, Ohio State 12, UMass Lowell, not UMass, UMass Lowell 13, Western Michigan 14, Merrimack out of Massachusetts is 15, UMass, regular UMass 16, 17 Michigan State, Northeastern 18, North Dakota down to 19. And who comes in at 20?
I'm not sure how they did get a win last week, but Notre Dame at 20.
Notre Dame at 20. Now, we have college hockey. We had a big 2-game series against number 2 Minnesota at number 3 Michigan. Minnesota won both those games, right? Thursday and Friday?
Big. Thursday, Friday, 5-2, 6-3. So shout out to Andy Kern and the Gophers. Took care of their business over there. Michigan at home, so a couple bad losses there to not even be able to get close to split in terms of the scores.
The last game was the second game, which was Friday, was a 6-3 Minnesota victory. Minnesota scored 2 goals in each of the periods. Michigan did not get out of the gate well, even though they had 15 shots on goal in the first period, did not score. They had 38 shots on goal, so what it tells me is that Michigan was skating pretty well, but Minnesota's goalie just ate up everything and kept them, with a 3-goal comfortable victory twice.
And apparently Michigan's goalie couldn't stop anything or wasn't getting enough defensive help because
34 shots,
5 and 6, so 11 goals in 2 games, and you're the 3 versus the 2 at home. Not very good.
Yep. I got a chance to look on the USCHO website for the Cornell Yale game last night. Unfortunately, the box score was not reported. Cornell won 5-2. I called up the general manager for Cornell hockey, Scott Howard. Got a little bit of a, kind of a short envelope discussion on it. And basically, what it came down to was Cornell had more shots on goal, almost doubled them up. And in the neutral zone, Cornell just created so many turnovers, and there were so many breakaway goals. That's why Cornell ended up winning by 3 goals. Notre Dame versus Ohio State. Notre Dame loses 5-2. This game started out pretty close. They were 1-1 after the first half. Notre Dame actually had 10 shots on goal in the first period to Ohio State's 4. Overall, Notre Dame had 32 shots on goal. Ohio State 26. Ohio State's goalie just did a better job than Notre Dame's goalie and ended up edging them out by 3 goals.
Not sure how they're sick of the top 20. Again, they did get a win last week, so they're kind of hanging around. But 5-2.
All right, so we're going to go quickly here. We're going to go to rapid fire NFL because we are already at 48 minutes and we want to be done.
We have
in
to
the next
stop
10
with what
minutes.
we do have to do one game. Seth's team, St. Cloud.
Oh, okay.
Came to Colorado Springs, and Colorado College, good for them. They held it 1-1 till 4 left in the third, and then St. Cloud put in a goal and then an empty netter. So the game was a lot closer.
So it was tied up to 4 minutes left in the game.
In the third. So good for Colorado College. They're playing harder and harder every week. Those are our good friends down the neighborhood. My buddy Vinny has season tickets, so got a lot of the input from him at the game last night. But we are going to shoot it right into the NFL.
Yep. Now, hang on one second. Just one thing you want to mention is that St. Cloud State's number 4 in the nation. So Colorado College is really turning the corner down there.
They're turning the corner.
And they have a new facility and everything else. So, we're going to be
better every week.
We're going to make a trip down there this year to watch a game, you and I, and maybe even broadcast from the actual stadium down there. So, all right, let's do rapid fire.
Before we do rapid fire, Bills, Vikings, hell of a game last week. I think the game of the year. If anybody was watching, you knew. If you watched any of the highlights, you knew. Hell of a game last week. I just want to let everybody know, me and this guy both had Vikings last week.
That's right.
So we threaded that needle. The Thursday night game was Titans and Packers. Packers are -3. I had Titans personally. Packers are done for the year, so that was a win. That's a no pick for this guy. We didn't get it out. We'll start with the Giants and Lions. Giants are my boys. They keep covering spreads. Only -3 against the Lions. Give me the Giants.
All right, I'm going to take the Giants as well.
Okay, are you doing spreads or money line this
I'm going to do spreads too, so
All right.
give me the spread. Might as well. It gives me a better chance of actually picking the right choice.
Falcons at home against the Bears. Bears blew the 14-point lead, and a lot of my money on the parlays. Falcons -3. I'm still going to go with the Bears. Actually, I don't like the spread so much. This is one of my weird over-unders. 49. I don't think either team plays a whole lot of defense. It's in the dome. I'm going to go over 49, but I will lean with the Bears +3. Who do you got?
Gonna go with the Falcons.
Falcons -3 at home. Ravens -13 against the Panthers. Baker Mayfield starting for Carolina. against the Ravens. Ravens do have some questionables with some of their big guys, though. Quarterback, tight end, and so on and so forth. Minus 13's a lot for me. I'm going to do a very, very, very soft lean on the Panthers and take the 13.
Not me too.
Very soft lean, though. Don't like that game a whole lot. Bills minus 8. Supposed to be at home, 6 feet of snow. Game has been moved to Ford Field in Detroit. The over-under has gone back to where it was because they had dropped about 7 points when they saw it was going to snow. Bills are minus 8. My head says take the Bills. My heart says take the Browns. I'm going to go with my heart, plus 8 on the Browns.
Interesting. I can't go against the Bills. I think the Bills Josh Allen is obviously going to play. They're going to be, no wind, so we're going to be able to see
Perfect
Josh
conditions.
Allen just absolutely launch the ball. Yep.
I mean, again, the head says Bills, the heart. So we'll figure out what head and heart wins over the next few weeks. Commanders at the Texans. Texans are plus 3, Commanders minus 3. Commandos on a run. Quarterback play. They're getting some guys back, especially on defense. Commanders minus 3.
I'm going to go with Texans.
Ooh, Texans. That threw me off shock. Okay.
Yep. I got to do a couple different ones
I
here.
like it. Eagles on the road at the Colts. Jeff Saturday's Colts 1-0 since he's been under the gun. Eagles are minus 7. I think reality hits as much as I hated last week with Dallas doing this. I am going to take the Eagles minus 7 on the road.
Yeah, I'm going to go step on a. I'm going to say they win by 2 touchdowns.
Jets plus 3.5 at New England. This is the game I think Jets fans have been waiting for. I'm taking the Jets plus 3.5 on the road.
I am too.
At New England.
I like that. I like that a lot. Jets are going to be fired up, and I hate the Pats. So beat Belichick.
Saints at home minus 3 against the Rams. A little bit of a messy mess here. Rams are gonna. Stafford hasn't played. They lost Cooper. Cooper Kupp had surgery. They're going to that dome, which is hard to play at. A soft lean on the Saints. I will take the Saints minus 3.
Me too. Only because Kupp's out and we don't know about Stafford.
Next game is another battle of the. It's been a rough year. Raiders. Broncos. Broncos minus 2.5 at home. I believe that the Broncos at 2.5. If I got to lean with somebody, I'm going Broncos. Carr's going to be out there. Top wide receiver questionable for the Raiders, obviously. Soft lean on the Broncos. Broncos finally get something to cheer about.
Raiders are going to come in. Not only are they going to win, but I predict that half the stadium will leave by the middle of the fourth quarter.
It's happened before.
I think the Raiders are going to have a big game, and I hope they do against the Broncos.
Vikes are plus 1.5 at home against the Cowboys after the miracle win and the only one loss Vikes. Cowboys were my lock of the week up 14 and completely blew that with the turnover and bad play against. I have no other words, but I'm going with Seth's Vikes here. I can't do the Cowboys again. It hurt last week to even say lock of the week. Give me the Vikes at home plus 1.5 as home dog.
It amazes me that the Cowboys were favored in this game. It just amazes me. I'm going Vikings all the way. I think the Cowboys are going to be, they're going to play them tough, but the Vikings are tough, and no one's giving them any respect.
Pulled out a great win last week on the road in a tough place and a hell of a game. I mean, it took a couple miracles on both sides to get it to where it was. Next game, his Steelers versus the Bengals. Originally, when I did my pick'ems in my pick'em league, not on the spread, I did Bengals, and then I almost wanted to text him because I'm looking at it. I like Steelers a lot on this game, plus 4. Getting another defensive guy back, I think they're getting rhythm. Bengals are missing their top wide receiver and the offensive line. The offensive line still stinks. I know they're coming off some time off. Steelers plus 4, maybe the money line Bengals, but I'm riding the Steelers again this week, last week.
Good job. I always talk about not betting your heart. Now I'm hoping for the Steelers, but I really think that Joe Burrow finds a way to beat us. Not only that, but you got to remember the first game of the season, the Steelers stung the Bengals, winning in overtime. The Bengals are pissed, and the Bengals are going to come in, and I don't think that plus 4 is going to be enough to stop them. So
I just think that you're getting healthy on defense. It's in Steeler. It's getting cold, and Joe and that offensive line, unless they pulled out a miracle since last week, they're not good. They're just not good. Yeah. Steelers got another guy coming back. They just got the Watt brother back. I like Steelers.
Okay. I hope you're right.
And those are your boys. I'm riding your
I know
boys
it's
this
tough
week.
for me to go against them, but I just, after I looked at it all week, I think the Bengals win. Especially now, if the Bengals had won the first game of the season and weren't so salty over their loss, I think that I would go with the Steelers. But unfortunately, we're going to see a loss in former Heinz Field.
Next game is Chargers-Chiefs. Quick breakdown. Chargers always play the Chiefs tough. Don't ask me why it is. Another one of those inter-division battles.
Yep.
Chargers, to me, are below where they think they are. They can't rush the ball. They do have a good quarterback. The rest of the team has some issues. The Chiefs are not running the ball at all. Nobody knows who Clyde Edwards-Helaire is anymore. Pacheco's now like the starting. I don't know what's going on. They don't need to. I'm telling you, they don't need to run the ball to beat them. The line is -5 Chiefs. I am going to ride the Chiefs here, and I think the Chiefs kill them. I know it's supposed to be a close game, so the head's going Chiefs. The heart's saying it might be close. I am going Chiefs here -5.
Yep, San Diego, former San Diego, they're now the Chargers of LA. They just have been stumbling along all season. Herbert just is not playing up to par.
Line's not good. Defense line's not good.
I'm going Kansas City. I think that they cover easily.
And then the last game of the week is Niners and Cards. Niners 8-point favorites after pulling a close one out on the last week. Cards to me still are not good. They beat a Rams team. They had backup in that game. The 8 in a rivalry game at home still seems a little much for me. It does. I know that.
But you've got Christian McCaffrey and Debo Sanders both going to be playing today. Jimmy G's gotten a chance to practice with Christian McCaffrey for now almost 3 to 4 weeks.
Yes, I will go Niners -8. If I'm betting the game, I'm buying the point down to 7. I don't like the 8. I'm buying it down to 7.
Okay. I'll stay at 8, and I'm still going to go with San Francisco.
Cards not very good.
No, I don't think so.
And that'll wrap it up. Bucks, Dolphins, Jags, Seahawks on the bye.
Okay. Well, thank you very much. And we have Patrick the Picker. I guess that's what we're going to start calling him.
Trick the Pick.
Either that or Patrick the Pollock. Which one do you like?
Patrick the Pollock, Trick the Pick.
Trick the Pick.
Trick's
All right.
got the pick, whatever you want to call it. And then we're going to end it with...
Yeah, we're going to just talk a little bit about women's national soccer team. Mainly because we've got 2 ladies, Sophia Smith and Mallory Pugh, which are both homegrown Colorado females. And both of them are going to be a shoe-in for starting on the wing position for this national team going forward. Remember, their World Cup does not start until this summer in July, so they have a little bit of a break. So we'll have to see how that goes. U.S. women just finished an 18-match season. They played third-ranked Germany in the world. They lost 2-1, and then they turned around and won 2-1. Like I said, the World Cup doesn't start till July, so they have a little bit of time. And Endorovsky, the coach, has said that Sophia Smith and Mallory Pugh are going to be his mainstays. They're still wondering whether or not Katrina Marciano, who had the torn ACL in June, whether she'll be back in the center position. Right now, odds on is she will not be a starter, but she will be a major contributor. She had 5 goals in the first 5 games before she tore her ACL in June. That is a tough injury to come back from, especially when you have a lot of these young guns chomping at your heels. They're going to stay with the 4-3-3 formation. That has been already established by the coach. USA Soccer is so deep. There are 10 veterans right now that are injured, and there are ladies just willing to step up, and there's really not much drop-off in talent. The teams that you're going to be looking for, the top contenders against the USA team, is England, Spain, and of course Germany, which we just split with. So remember to always come to the Dr. Jimbo Love Show featuring Seth Matthew, now with stand-in guest Patrick. If you want to know anything that's going on with women's sports, there's a great site out there called justwomensports.com. I was on it this morning looking for some of the stuff, but they cover all of the major women worldwide sports. And it's just an excellent site if you are looking for ladies athletics.
One quick clip before I let you do your whatever while we're on the soccer.
Absolutely.
Men's World Cup. I know a lot of you guys are interested. We talked about earlier. That's not my forte. I got a lot of buddies in it. Brazil, the favorite. Then Argentina, France, Spain, England, Germany, Portugal, Netherlands, Belgium, Denmark, Uruguay, Croatia. And you probably won't be able to see the lines because of my phone. But this is where I'm cheating them off. I didn't even put them in my notes because we had so much today to cover.
Yeah, we got too much. We'll talk a little bit more about this, though.
Yeah, we'll have plenty of time to break it down as
Absolutely.
it goes through. AL MVP, Aaron Judge. NL MVP, Paul Goldschmidt. Both 28 votes for Aaron out of 30, 26 for Goldie. And some second place votes, obviously, for Otani. And the NL was a teammate actually had the third place votes.
Yeah.
Close it out.
All right. So, again, come on down to Brothers Bar and Grill at the shops in Northfield. We're right across the street from Harkin Theaters. You can get your game on. You can watch whatever you want. We had horse racing on for Patrick a couple weeks back when the Breeders' Cup was playing. We can get anything that you want, so come on down, have a beer with us. Ask for Seth and Colt at the bar. Look for Patrick, he'll be over there. I unfortunately will be going home to take care of my son because he's still sick. Folks, thank you very much for tuning in. We want to thank the people from LinkedIn, people from Getter, people from Facebook. Thank you very much for your comments. Those of you out there, some of the ladies are a little upset that Seth is not going to be here. I'll tell you what, we'll take some pictures of Seth bartending over the next couple weeks and we'll post them on our website so you can still see his face. I know there's a lot of fans out there that love that beard. All right, folks. Again, next week we'll be back here. Patrick and I will be here. Actually, next week we may take a little break because it is the holiday season. Patrick won't be here. I may do something very quickly, and Patrick's going to send me his picks, so you won't miss the picks.
Maybe we can get them out to you a little earlier next week so we can get them out fresh and get some action in on it.
Yeah, maybe we'll do that. We'll start talking about maybe doing a little bit of a pre-show.
Yeah.
But in the meantime, though, folks, get out there, get your side hustle on, and earn it. We'll see you next week.
Earn it.
Earn it.
Bye, everybody.
Thank you very much again.